a hermit, someone who pretty much lived alone. Earlier today, the FBI blocked the entrance to the little roadway that leads up to Kaczynski's cabin. Neighbors say that the cabin had no heat and had no electricity, that Kaczynski lived in what was essentially a hermit lifestyle. The last time anyone saw the Unabomber or was believed to see the Unabomber was in Salt Lake City. A woman described the man there as tall and swarthy. But the people who knew Kaczynski in Lincoln, Montana say he looked quite different.
Oh, I'd guess 5'7", long beard, long hair. Everyday run-of-the-mill kind of a person, but he doesn't look like a picture, nor is he the same height as they claim he is. If I remember right, they were saying like 5'10" or 6 feet. He's nowhere near that.
Is he known around here? Is he a character around, or?
His personality, I would say, did not allow him to really cause anybody any problems. He just rode around town on his bicycle, went to the library on occasion quite often. Well, he comes down out of this mountain, drives all the way into Lincoln, drives all the way back on his bike. No problem, no nothing, just one of the people.
The situation now is that Kaczynski has not yet been arrested, we understand, and that agents are continuing to pore over the contents of his home. That also earlier this year, agents sought permission and got it to search the home of his parents in Chicago, and there, we understand, also found material relevant to the Unabomber case. Kaczynski lived in this town anywhere from 8 to 11 years. Folks say he checked out books from the library that were an unusual sort of books, that is, mainly those in a language other than English. He described himself to some of his neighbors as a disabled Vietnam vet, and his neighbor said he never looked like he had a job. He never looked like he was employed as long as he lived in the community. Lyndon, back to you.
Greg, from some of the information that seems to be filtering in, it appears as though he may have bought the cabin in the area in 1971, yet the Unabomber attacks didn't begin until 1978. From what you've learned from speaking to the area residents, have they noticed whether he was likely to travel quite a bit? As you mentioned, he had a bicycle that he rode into town, and yet some of these attacks, apparently the bombs were mailed from as far away as Northern California.
That's true. However, this community is remote. There are many communities like this throughout the northern plains and the Northwest where you may not see someone for 4 months or 5 months or 6 months, and it's not considered unusual. So a long departure, a long absence, is not something that folks are concerned about here.
All right, CNN's Greg Lefebvre, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Since 1978, 3 people have been killed and dozens of others injured by mail bombs or booby-trapped packages attributed to the Unabomber. CNN's Mark Leff has more on nearly 20 years of terror.
Over the years, federal investigators have tried to recreate both the bombing suspect's appearance and his work. Over the years, nearly 18 years now, handcrafted bombs have periodically turned up in places mostly linked to high technology. Early targets involved mostly people working for universities or airlines, which prompted the FBI to codename the case Unabomb. In December 1985, a device outside a Sacramento, California computer store killed the owner when he picked it up. 2 years later, somebody got a look at a man who left an explosive outside a computer store in Salt Lake City. That description and the features in the FBI sketch are now more than 9 years old. The FBI has linked that single suspect to nearly 24 incidents around the country. Most of them hurt people. 3 times now, the victims have died. A bomb mailed from San Francisco killed an advertising executive a year and a half ago at his home near New York. And last year, less than a week after a truck bomb blew up the federal building in Oklahoma City, a timber industry lobbyist in California's capital died when he opened a package bomb at his office. Police have not linked the Unabomb suspect to Oklahoma City, but some experts believe the truck bombing led him to go after news coverage again. There is a message beyond the terror. The bomber sent letters to newspapers expressing his opposition to technology, taunting the agents trying to catch him, and offering to stop if someone would publish his manifesto. As more than 24 federal agents in San Francisco tried to catch him, Penthouse magazine publisher Larry Guccione said he'd print the letter. But by last June, the bomber raised the stakes.
And it would help if you have your ID identification ready.
Los Angeles International Airport went on security alert after a written threat to blow up an airliner unless the manifesto made it into major newspapers. The fear was real, but the bomber quickly said the threat was a hoax. In July, a University of California professor at the Berkeley campus where the suspect may have taught tried to begin a public dialogue with the bomber. Later last year, the Washington Post and other newspapers did publish the bomber's long message at federal authorities' request, they said, and with considerable misgivings. The New York Times publisher worried in print about turning the paper over to a man who murdered people, but he called it the right choice between bad options. There's even been a book, but since then, no more bombs. And from the beginning, FBI agents insisted good old-fashioned police work would eventually catch the man with the deadly crusade against technology. Mark Leff, CNN, reporting.